Read some stuff to you about him bragging on who he is. How many of you know if anybody deserves to brag about themselves, it's him, it's God? I really, really want you, you know those moments when you hear stuff and when it just really, really sinks in and when you go, wow, that means something to me. Can we be honest and say a lot of the stuff we hear sometimes it just goes, "Veer, veer, veer." When I read these scriptures to you, I really want you to grasp what God is saying. I really want you to grasp who your father is. Does that make sense to you? Deuteronomy 32 and 39 is the first verse I want to read. I love the first part of it. You ready, Marquise? God says, look now. Everybody say, look now. Can you just see this conversation going on? He's like, look now. I myself am he. Who is he? I am. Watch this. He says, there is no other. Can you say no other? Just in case you didn't know, there is no other. I'm talking about our Father. He says, there is no other God but me. Everybody say, but him. He says this. He says, I am the one. Everybody say the one again. Who kills and gives life. He says, I am the one who wounds and I am the one who heals. No one can be rescued from my powerful hand. Did you just hear that? God has said, I am he. If you're looking for somebody, he says, I am he. I'm the one who kills. I'm the one who gives life. See, sometimes, oh God, I know this is a little sensitive, but I need you to understand sometimes we don't understand that part of God. I know what you say. Well, he was talking about something different back then. This was the law and all that stuff like this. How many of you believe? I say this often, but you got to understand this and tie this in with this. There's no death. There's nothing that happens that just sneaks by him. God would not be God if tragedy strikes you and he didn't see it. Did you just hear what I said? He says, I'm the one who kills and I'm the one who gives life. I'm the one who wounds and I'm the one. No one can be rescued from my powerful hand. Isn't that an awesome thing? This computer is getting on my nerves. Denise, I knew I shouldn't have did it. This Windows 8 just gets on my nerves. It just does all kind of crazy stuff when you touch it. Isaiah 41 and 4 says this. He's bragging on himself. He says, who has done such mighty deeds? Watch this, guys. Summoning each new generation from the beginning of time. You understand what he's saying, right? He says, I'm the one from generation to generation. Everything else you know and understand will pass away. He says, but who is the one from generation to generation makes it possible for there to be generation? He says, I'm that guy. Remember he said, I am the one who gives life. He says, I am the one. He says, wait a minute, also, not only do I allow each generation to happen, but I'm the one who's doing the great things from generation to generation. Notice how he keeps saying, I'm the one. You know, Denise says this often, and I just want to say this. We can't take credit for a thing in our life. God says, I'm the one. Listen, it wasn't your nice cell phone that woke you up, but it was the one. Whoa, this thing's leaning a little bit. Back in College Hill, we call that a gangster lean. You know what I mean? See that thing leaning like that? He says, my wife's like, gosh, here he goes. I'm going to be really serious today, okay? He says, it is I. Everybody say, it is he, the Lord, the first and the last. He says this, watch this. He says, I am he alone. You don't need, this is going to be confrontational. You don't need anybody else adding anything to your life if he didn't put it there. That's a totally different message. See, sometimes we put stuff. Sometimes we put stuff in our life. Sometimes we do things. But notice he said, great and mighty deeds. That he says, I am the one who produces those things. Listen, when you got God, you don't need anybody else putting things in your life. Because when he does it, it's a mighty and it's a great thing. Isaiah 45:18. He says, for the Lord is God, and he created the heavens and the earth and put everything in place. Say everything in place. He made the world to be lived in, not to be a place of empty chaos. He says, I am the Lord, he says, and there is no, say that again, says there is no other. You understand what God's trying to say to us? Simply this. There's no Greek, there's no Hebrew translation. There is no other. He is the only one that can make anything happen in your life. So here's a question for you. Why do we focus so much on what everybody else is saying about us? Because everybody else can't make anything happen for you. But God can make everything happen for you. Do you understand that? It's not about what mom and them said. Yeah, mom and them say crazy stuff too. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's not about what your cousins and your friends and all this stuff like. It's about what God says about. Now, God will use people to speak to you. Don't walk out here talking about, oh, Pastor D said we ain't got to listen. No, I'm not saying that. But you got to understand, and you understand what I'm saying? You got to know. You got to know the difference. Verse 19, watch this. This is the one that I really, really, really need you to get. Oh my God, this is so powerful.